Everyone, my name is Jackie. I am from Adelphi University. I just want to first off say thank you to CollegeTrackr for having us today. I'm excited to share a little bit about Adelphi and about the athletic recruiting process. So I am going to let some of my colleagues who are joining me for this presentation jump in and we'll do some introductions. Actually, I'll do my introduction first since I'm chatting already. But so my name is Jackie. I am the Associate Director of International Admissions at Adelphi. I joined the Adelphi team just about a year ago, and I have been recruiting for Adelphi internationally for the last year. Obviously, recruitment looks a little different this fall, but I actually am really excited that we get these kinds of virtual opportunities to meet and connect with you all. I'll hand it over to Alana, my colleague in admissions.
Hi, everyone. I am Alana Dawson. I am Assistant Director of International Admissions for Adelphi University. I am going into my second year at Adelphi. I absolutely love it. So I do primarily work with international students, but I also work with some domestic students. I do work with athletics as well. I'm also on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I am a student mentor, and I also work with our joint degree programs for students who may be interested in pre-professional tracks, such as pre-medical or pre-dental. And I'm going to pass it on over to Coach David Duke.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on the call. My name is Dave Duke. I'm the head men's basketball coach here at Adelphi. And I've been here for just finished my 6th season. And what's great about this call is, one, working with Jacqueline and Alana over the summer. They are rock stars when it comes to getting things done. And I appreciate everything. And what's also cool about this for me is one of our players who I spent a lot of time recruiting out of Canada 2 years ago. He got hurt last year, so he keeps his freshman eligibility athletically. But I recruited him out of a CJET. So I'm more familiar with the CJETs than I am the university, and just some of the lingo that I just have to refresh a little bit. For more of the high school, but I'm looking forward to this call. If you see me go lose everybody for a minute, one of our guys, Josh Kulamala, who is Canadian, and I recruited him out of Vanier, he just texted me that the link isn't working, so I'm just going to forward him the email. I had texted it to him, and then I'm going to jump right back with everybody so he could join us as well.
Sounds good. So what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of have some athletic perspective, but also some admissions perspective. While Coach Duke is getting Josh set up, what I'm going to do is we'll skip ahead a little bit and we'll just get started with admissions, just so we don't waste any time here. So I'm going to kind of start off with a little bit of background and info about Adelphi. So we are a small to medium-sized university. We're just outside of New York City. So it's a very central location, really easy to get to, especially for international students. We've got a couple of major airports very close to campus. Actually, I think I looked the other day, it's about 11 miles to LaGuardia, about 11 miles to JFK Airport. And then of course, Newark Airport is also fairly close. Being that we're so close to New York City, that affords students a lot of different opportunities. And so it's a close, the campus is very close to the city. So it helps both in an academic sense and a professional sense. And then also just for kind of cultural opportunities and extra opportunities outside of academics. So this slide has a lot of kind of basic info, some statistics that I think are really important. But as I said before, we're a small to medium-sized university, and we really pride ourselves on that personalized experience. And so the average class size at Adelphi is about 21 students, and that only gets smaller as you go on. And our student to faculty ratio is about 10-1. And so students can students can get to know their professors really well, but they can also get to know their classmates really well. And that certainly helps in the classroom, but then also when you're trying to make friends, if you're getting to know people, it just allows for that to happen really organically. Also, our students are very active in clubs and organizations, so you can see the numbers there. There's a really vibrant student life, and we'll get into that a little bit more later, but it's always nice to see how many students are really involved actively here on campus. A couple of other things to mention. So diversity on campus. So you can see some numbers here, just in case you can't quite read the numbers. They're a little bit small. So we are a fairly diverse campus. About 55% of our students are white, and the other 45% kind of our whole wide range of students. So it'd be students of color, students who are more than one race. And so you can see the breakdown there. Also, being one of the international counselors, I love seeing this number. We have about 64 countries represented on campus. And then within the US, about 43 states are represented on campus. And then finally, last two numbers I want to highlight here. A lot of our students actually work on campus, and we really are very proud of that last number. 95% of our students are employed or in graduate school within 6 months of graduation. We make sure our students have some real hands-on experience before they leave. And so they are getting jobs and going on to graduate school very quickly after graduation. I'm going to hand it over to Alana for the next slide here.
Okay, so as Jackie mentioned, we are a liberal arts university, and the beauty in that is that we do allow students to come in with a wide variety of many different interests. The first 2 years, all students, regardless of their major, do have to take what we call general education requirement courses. So that's mathematics, English, history, etc. And that really lays a strong foundation for all jobs and careers that students may be interested in. It also allows students to change their major fairly early within the first 2 years. So say if you start in one area and you kind of you're not sure if that's where you want to stay, you can absolutely change your major within the first 2 years, and it is very easy. So first we have our College of Arts and Sciences. This allows students to have a very broad range of majors and minors across many different fields. So we do have the hard sciences, such as biology, chemistry, or biochemistry. We also have state-of-the-art lab facilities on campus, so you're actually doing what it is that you're learning. And under the arts portion, we do have performing arts, such as dance, theater, design technology, etc. You do have to complete either an audition or a portfolio for review. But if you are accepted, there is an additional scholarship that you are awarded upon being accepted into those programs. Then we have our College of Education and Health Sciences. So we do have communication sciences and disorders for any students who may be interested in speech pathology or audiology. And we also have our Scholar Teacher Education program, for students where you will major in a core content area such as English, history, etc., and take courses for your master's degree in your junior year. So you are able to earn both your bachelor's and your master's in 5 years instead of the traditional 6. So we are saving you time, money, and energy. Then we have our College of Nursing. The cool thing about our College of Nursing is that it is direct entry for incoming freshmen. So you can actually apply as a nursing student, and if you are accepted, day one, you are a nursing student. We do have simulation labs on campus with mannequins that bleed, sweat, give birth. It's very high tech and it is very hands-on. Then we have our Gordon F. Derner School of Psychology. Under this college, we also have neuroscience, which is a wonderful blend between psychology and biology. And we also have an accelerated program for psychology as well in general psych, where you will major in psychology and then you'll earn your master's in general psychology again in 5 years. Then we have our Robert B. Williamstad School of Business. Our School of Business is AACSB accredited. That means that we are part of the top percentage of business schools in the country. We do have marketing, management, finance, economics, and accounting. So we have a wide variety of majors for students to choose from. And we also have a Bloomberg trading room on campus for students as well too. So you actually are trading real stock. It's really cool. And then lastly, we have our School of Social Work. So we do have a dedicated School of Social Work for students who may be interested in working in a helping profession, being a social worker at a hospital or at a school. And we do have a lot of relationships with local organizations for students to get their clinical hours. So then on the right side of the screen, we have our signature programs and support programs. Our Honors College is for students who are really looking for that added academic challenge once they get to college. It is very writing intensive and thought-provoking. You do have to have certain GPA and test scores to get in. But if you are accepted, there is also an additional scholarship. So keep in mind these scholarships that we are discussing are stackable in a sense. One does not take place of the other. Then we have our Leavenworth Global Scholars Program for students who are really interested about learning things on more of a global basis or interested in social justice or social awareness. We do have non-governmental organization status at Adelphi, so students in this program do get to intern at the United Nations. And then we have more 4+1 programs. Again, these are accelerated programs for students to earn both their bachelor's and their master's degree in 5 years instead of 6. So we have education, psychology, accounting, computer science, environmental science, just to name a few. And then we also have our joint degree programs where students would start out at Adelphi for 3 to 4 years, depending on the program that they're interested in. And then we would assist them to go on to one of our professional schools, our partnering professional schools. So if you're interested in pre-dental, pre-law, pre-medical, we do have several partnerships for those pathways as well. Under support programs, these kind of ease the transition from high school to higher education. We have Bridges to Adelphi for students who are on the spectrum of autism. It is a fee-based program where we provide social, academic, and vocational support for these students. And then we also have our Learning Resource Program, which is also a fee-based program, typically for students who have language-based learning disabilities such as ADHD or dyslexia. And lastly, we have our Student Access Office. So if anyone does feel that they need certain accommodations, for example, additional time on the test, but you do not need the full extent of accommodations provided by Bridges or Learning Resource, you can bring documentation to the Student Access Office, and we will do our best to meet those accommodations.
Okay, so Panther Life. As I mentioned before, there's a lot going on campus. I mean, right now, a little different. We've shifted many of our activities virtually, and actually this coming weekend is Spirit Weekend, whereas normally it would be almost like a homecoming weekend on campus. Now it's happening virtually, and there's just tons of things happening. Lots of community service. There's cooking classes happening this weekend, a bunch of alumni networking opportunities. So we've made the transition pretty amazingly to virtual. But so overall, as I said before, things are pretty vibrant on campus. Our students are really special in that they are excited to be at Adelphi and really want to make the community, not only the campus community, but the community around Adelphi better. Tons and tons of organizations, probably over, I think the last count was probably just about 100 organizations on campus. That's clubs, athletics, that's going to be tons of community service organizations, lots of academic-based groups, some diversity organizations, social justice, affinity organizations, and just a lot in between. As I mentioned, there are a couple of big events, something like Spirit Week. We also have a large performing arts center, and so we have folks come in all the time for speaking engagements. Right now, there's a lot of things happening around the election. That's obviously been a hot topic of conversation here in the U.S., and Adelphi is no exception. We're having speakers come in all the time to deal with things on that topic. Let's see, Alana, if you wanted to jump in, there's a number of other things happening on campus that, if you're aware of anything else, you're welcome to jump in. And also Josh will be talking about the student athlete experience in a couple minutes, and he can certainly talk a little bit about things that he's been involved with and events he's attended. I will also mention one other piece here, or two other things here. One is residential life. So we've got in a normal year, just over 1,000 students living on campus in 7 different residence halls. There's a different kind of a range of different styles. So there's more of the standard residential hall, which is doubles and singles, and then a bathroom in the hallway, kind of a shared space. And then we also have some more hotel style or like suite style residence halls. So you live with a few people, share a living or the living room common area, and have a bathroom in the suite as well. And the residence halls all on campus. We do also have a number of students who live off campus and commute. So you have the option if you wanted to live right on campus or just near campus. And as I mentioned before, we're close to New York City, and that really affords a lot of opportunities. Students are going off campus often for internships and jobs, but also to enjoy the sights of the city. Again, in a normal year, there'd be Broadway shows, concerts, lots of sporting events. And so you can really take advantage of the city because we are so close. There are 2 train stations very close to campus. There are shuttles to both. One is pretty walkable. I actually live in New York City and I commute every day. And so I do my little half-mile walk in the morning and in the afternoon to get to the train. And so it's really easy to get into the middle of the city. If you're heading into New York City, right into Midtown, kind of the heart of it all, it's only about it's like a 35-40 minute train ride from campus. So really accessible. I'm gonna jump ahead and let Alana jump in.
Okay, so now that everyone is all riled up or really excited, we do want to just kind of quickly cover the admissions application process. So first, we will need a completed application, including an essay. So we do accept the common application. I'm not sure if that's available in Canada, but we also do, and we also have the Adelphi application, which is on our website. We have absolutely no preference on which application you use as long as it is complete. And we will also need an essay. So this can be the college essay that you may be working on right now in school. It can be a previous writing assignment from another class that you have gotten a good grade on. Pretty much it doesn't have to be written specifically for Adelphi. Just make sure that it answers the prompt or the question on the application that you select. Then we will need your official high school transcript. So this can be mailed to us in a hard copy with a sealed envelope, or your guidance counselor can email it from your school email address to us. Either way, we will be able to accept that official high school transcript. Then we will need your official SAT or ACT scores. So typically for international students, there's kind of like a gray area when it comes to these scores, but we are test optional. And yes, that does include Canadian students. So for the coming academic year, you do not have to submit your SAT or ACT scores. I do want to point out that if you are interested in any of our joint degree programs, some of those programs do require the SAT or ACT, but for admission to Adelphi, we are not requiring them. If you do submit them, however, we do superscore. So that means that if you take either the SAT or the ACT at least twice, we will take the highest score of each subsection and combine it to give you a higher overall score. And then we will need one or more recommendation letters. So this is not limited to just your guidance counselor. It can be a teacher that you work with. If you are working, it could be a supervisor or a mentor, just anyone outside of your family who can really attest to who you are as a person. So really make sure that you are taking the time and effort, especially in your essay when filling out your application, because we do have what we call a holistic application review process. So we are really using everything in order to make an admissions decision. I do want to point out that we do have our December 1st early action application deadline. So this means that if you complete your application by this date, we do guarantee an admissions decision within 4 weeks. We do have specific deadlines for I-20s, but we can talk about that another time. And then lastly, I do also want to talk about scholarship really fast. We do have automatic consideration for academic scholarship. So that means that as soon as students are accepted, we are automatically reviewing you all for merit-based scholarships. There's no separate application. You don't have to reach out to anyone. And oftentimes we are sending the scholarship information along with the acceptance packet. So right up front, you already know what merit-based scholarship you are being awarded. If you get into the honors college, there's additional money for that. If you get into the performing arts programs, if that's what you're interested, there's additional money for that. And of course, the main thing that we're here for, if you get an athletic grant, that's even more money. So on that note, I'm going to pass it back on over to Coach David Duke for the beginning of the presentation. And if you have any questions about the application process, please feel free to contact myself or Jackie.
Okay, thank you all again for joining us here and allowing me to be a part of this. And I see Josh is on it as well, which is great. So Josh, as I'm going on here, if you think that there's anything that you need to interject, please feel free. You're going to have some time at the end to get some questions. But I just wanted to kind of talk with everybody a little bit about Adelphi, the athletics in general. I'm going to obviously be more geared towards basketball, being that I'm the basketball coach and most familiar with our program. But I wanted to describe a little bit the facilities and the difference between Division I and II, if they're to understand everything. So often, we see North Carolina and we see Duke, and we think about that with Division I and II. So I was fortunate. I got my start at Hofstra University under Jay Wright, who's now the head coach of Villanova. So I worked at Hofstra, I worked at Fordham as well, and now I'm at Adelphi. So I was at two Division I schools, and now I'm here to Division II school. And I have to tell you, when it comes to facilities, our place is as much of a Division I school as I've been a part of. We have the CRS, the Center for Recreation and Sport, which has a weight room in and of its own. It has a half court that's connected to the building, and we have a gorgeous 3 regulation size full courts that are back to back to back, all next to each other. That is underneath a beautiful track that's on top, and we have luxury boxes that look down upon the court. It's really a very, very high level facility. A couple before everything unfortunately came here with COVID, we had when I had my camp over the summer, a friend of mine who was a Division I coach, he brought his team to have an open gym with us, and he couldn't believe how nice our campus and our facility was. So it's a really, really nice place. So when you see the pictures of it, it's every bit as beautiful, even more so when you're looking online. So we do have international athletes. Obviously, Josh is here on the call with us, and he'll give you more of his background and the schools and where he's from there. I spent a lot of time at Vanier when I was recruiting him. We have Josh, and we have another international player from Greece. So we have two guys right now. The programs are available to be a part of academically for our team. They run the gamut from sports management. Josh is accounting. We have a variety of other business. One of our guys is in the joint program for med school to do that. So you could be a part of anything as an athlete. What we have to do is, as coaches, academics with our team is always first and foremost, and we make our basketball schedule around classes. So for example, we practice in the morning right now because the way that it worked out, the guys needed the afternoons for their courses. So we scheduled everything around it. And then one of our guys had to juggle some things around where we even had to move practice up a little bit more because of one class. So you could be a part of any academic program. Your coaches just have to work with you a bit on it. Which leads me to my next topic is, a day in the life of the student athlete. I just said we practice in the morning. So a typical day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because of the class that I just told you about for the singular who had the 10 a.m. class, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we go between 8:15 and 8:30 to 10. Tuesdays and Thursdays, about o'clock. We lift on Tuesdays, Thursdays before practice, and Mondays, Fridays, we lift after our practice. So it's a great day in terms of getting a regimented schedule. And this is why, so my brother is, he's the director of a private equity group in the city. And when we talk about athletes and the beauty of getting an athlete when you finish with your degree is that the employer knows that you're a part of a schedule that's, even when you're in college, and often there's a lot of free time in college. Our men and the women that are on sports teams, it's very regimented. So a typical day will be, we'll start, say, we're there at 8 o'clock, because you don't just walk into a practice. You have to go to treatment first. You have to be loose, changed. And so say the guys get there 7:30 to 8. They have some breakfast first. They get there between 7:30 to 8. From there, they'll have, a good 3-hour block with us. Then from there, they'll go to get some food. They'll go to their classes. We normally have a team study hall, and then you'll either go to more of your classes, you'll get some shots up for a little extra individual work, and then you'll go to dinner. And really by the time you finish with dinner, you're exhausted because there's so much going on. At the same time, that's when you have your free time. You're back in the dorms and you're hanging out with your friends, or you're just watching some TV or a movie, whatever it is. And Josh can speak to more of that when he jumps on the call. So you have to really learn to be very, very committed to this regimented schedule, because balancing it's all about the academics. Like we have a lot of our guys on the team, and I'm gonna be very honest, we have a lot of pros on this team. Like we beat a Division I team a few years ago, and they won't play us anymore, right? So we have guys who are going to be professionals, but they're very aware that they're going to be professionals after they get their degree, and they set up their life after basketball. So it's very important that you schedule your time management to make sure that you're able to encompass all of that Because when you come to college, this is something that I struggled with when I got to college. I really had a tough time with time management, and it really catches up to you quick when you're in school. So we try to set the example for our guys of helping them with a template for the day, but they do a great job. Our team GPA last semester was over 3.4, and when you come to school, if you're playing a sport, that'll assist you with really getting your schedule very, very regimented. In terms of our playing season, normally we play 2 games a week, typically on a Tuesday, Wednesday and a Saturday. We usually have Sundays off. That's the way we've always done it. If there's tests or whatever, we figure out how to move around that. But those are really the time demands in terms of being a student athlete. It's a lot of fun, when we're doing well and our guys, we're in the newspapers, we're doing all that. Everybody sees the bright lights on game day. I always tell people, come watch a practice, because there's so much that goes into it. It's not only game day, that's when it's, the most fun. And it's almost like that's test day for us. Every other day we're learning, we're practicing, and that's the best time to come check it out. But really, you just have to be very committed to your academics and your athletics, because it's going to be such a large part of your life when you're in school. So the next thing is to understand that I want to get into a bit is to understand the athletic scholarship situation. So the biggest thing, so I was at Hofstra and Fordham, which are Division I schools, and the difference between Division I and Division II, really, it's the scholarship situation. So in Division I, every school is mandated to have 13 full scholarships. There are no partials. There's no academic money. There's no, there's no academic money. You get $10,000 if you're a 3.0 student, 15, it's off. You get a scholarship, you have a scholarship. In Division II, the max that we can give is 10, and that's the max. However, every institution has a right to dictate how many their max is going to be. So one school might have 10, one school might have 7, one school might have 4. So that all depends on the singular institution, how they allocate that scholarship money for each sport. So that's how that works with the scholarships. Now, some schools will let you stack, where as Alana mentioned before, and the stack term means you can get some academic money, you could get some athletic money, and you could package that together. And when you package that together, that's how you get your full scholarship, your partial, and every sport is different. Typically in basketball, I can speak for the men's side. I can't speak for the women's side because I haven't coached, but I believe it's very similar from my experiences. Very often in basketball, when you think of a scholarship, you think of a full scholarship or very close to it. Some of the other sports might not be that way because that might not be traditionally how that works. So for us, we try to locate, we try to see what the grades are, and then from there to combine that to get the scholarship. And really, you can get a full scholarship. So you can get Josh is, I'll get into him in a few minutes, but he's everything you want a person to be. He's a great person, he's a great student, and he's a great basketball player. And in return for all of those things and his hard work, Josh is on a full scholarship. So you can get a full, but all of those things in that order, person, school, and then athletics, is what it takes, because at a Division II institution, being that you don't have everybody 13 or we don't have 10, you really have to break it up to make sure you get as many people as you can on that team with your allocated scholarship money. So you can receive as much as a full, you could receive as little as $1,000. So there's really no top and no bottom into what you can and cannot receive. In keeping your in keeping your athletic scholarship, academic scholarship, you need certain grades to keep those as well, but that's not my area, so I won't get into that. The athletics you need to stay eligible, and that's really it. If you stay eligible and you're working as hard as you can, you're going to keep your athletic scholarship. When you're being a little bit delinquent with getting things in and getting the grades that you should be receiving, then you can lose your athletic scholarship. So it is important that once you get it, you continue to do as well as you can, because you don't want to lose your athletic money because of any academic concerns when you don't need to have that happen. Renewals are annual. Renewals work on an annual basis, and basically, we don't take scholarships away if you're not good enough. You know, if you're not playing well. The only time you get renewed, it's almost like we had a contract, we had an agreement. As long as you're behaving, you're not having any behavioral issues, you're not having any academic issues. We have the 4 years together. Now, Josh got hurt last year, so Josh is somebody who was very special. So Josh, we will give a 5th year to Josh, and he would keep that scholarship to do graduate school or whatever program he wants to be a part of. It's not mandated to do. Where the agreement comes in is it's really 4 years. It's an annual renewal, but the true agreement is we're going to annually renew it for all 4 of your years to help you to get your degree. The scholarship situation with COVID has been really a wild ride, to say the least. I'll get into the recruiting component of COVID in a minute, but the scholarship situation with COVID just even took a turn as of yesterday. So it's very new. It's kind of good we're on this call right now to educate everybody a little bit, but it's so new that I'm still learning some stuff. How it's been affected is, one, it's very difficult for coaches now to go into year 2. So in the spring of last year, is usually if you sign someone late, you get to watch them in person and you play some AAU events and some late high school events. But when COVID hit, everything was obviously shut down, and it continues to be shut down. So the recruiting last spring and continues to be through streams and through film that come in. The point that I just made that everything got changed as of yesterday was there was a rule that got changed that all of the winter sports, that's men's and women's basketball, I believe it's bowling. I could be incorrect with that, but I think so. Those students will get this year, like eligibility wise, like a freebie year, meaning that the coaches and each student athlete will sit down, and if the student is a senior this year, that student can the student will have a year of eligibility next year. So they're a senior right now, but they'll still have the year to play, whether it's at the school that they're at the moment, whether it's at another institution next year, because there's a variety of reasons not happy with your playing time, this, that, or whatever it may or may not be. But for you all to know, as this process is going on, the Division I rule came out last week that they changed, either last week or the week before, that they were going to give this blanket waiver, is the term. And I got the text message yesterday that it was for Division II as well. So you want to know that when you're being recruited and you're asking questions, you want to ask, how is this going to affect me if a school is recruiting you later on? So I've been recruiting some people, and I let everybody know, I don't know what the financial situation is going to be for you for next year. Because if you commit, is the term when you give a verbal commitment before you sign. If you commit, it's with a caveat that we might not have money for you, because if certain guys are able to come back, and we don't even know yet. But if that happens, and I had a kind of a feeling this was going to happen because this is so unique, and if somebody gets it, you're out for 2 weeks, they miss 2 weeks. So I had a feeling something like this was going to happen, but it will affect your class if you're a senior or you're in a CJEP, right? Senior in high school, or you're in a CJEP, because you would be getting that scholarship for next year. So that's very important for you to know. In terms of promoting yourself and the advice that I could give, I would say have your coaches try to reach out. When they reach out, you want to send a highlight. If you have a highlight tape, you want to send a highlight tape, and you also want to send full game footage. The best way I could explain this is you have 2 great plays from 15 games you played in for 15 minutes a game last season. You know, it could be a little misleading in a highlight tape. Now, that highlight tape catches my eye, and that's how I took guys from last season from film that are with us now. I watch a highlight tape, and then if I don't have it on there, I request it. But it's always nice when you have it on there, full game tape, that I see, is this 2 plays in 30 minutes of play, or is this just the 2 plays that they wanted to use? So as you're trying to promote yourself, you want highlights, as well as you want to also have full game footage. The best way to email, and the reason why I say have your coaches, so I probably get to about 50 emails a day, probably on the lower side, from prospective student athletes who want to look at the stuff. And in all fairness, it's hard to go through 50 a day of everyone's film, and also sometimes things do go to my spam. So what you really want to do is you want to make sure your coach reaches out, and from there, typically it's easier for a coach to listen to a coach or a scout. And that's just being honest. I still watch one of the guys I took from film last spring came from a scout, and one of the guys that I took last spring came from the student athlete, prospective student athlete, reaching out to me. So you could do both. There's nothing wrong with sending it yourself and having your coach or scout say. That's thinking about it out loud as I'm saying this. That's not a bad way to do it, because if you see the name twice, that does work. Now, normally, if there's any juniors on the call, if you plan on going to prep school next year, then you do that, and then it is easier because you go watch in person at tournaments, and college coaches typically know what schools are what. So that's a great way to do it. In your resume, when you're sending it out, you want to put on your GPA, if you've taken an SAT score, and your stats in terms of 3 points, assists, rebound, depends, the basics, and that there's 3-point percentage, field goal percentage, because you could average 20 points a game. You could shoot 40% from 2-point. We're very into analytics with our program, and that's not very good. But if you have like 60% from 2, 45% from 3, these are the things that you want to include, along with, of course, your videos. Those things are great. That's really from the recruiting process. We're having a tough time. We're not out recruiting at all right now. Maybe I am actually. This is great. We're having Alana and Jacqueline here because I plan on getting in touch with you guys later on, just to see where we are and when we can start bringing people for a very socially distant, unofficial visit, because that's all we can do right now. And for all of the student athletes who are going next year, it's a tough time. But look, the guys that I have, I can't speak for any of the women. Like I said earlier, I had fortunate to have 2 guys that I really like on our team that got here through video. So it's very possible. It's what every school is dealing with right now. So as long as you have really good grades, it's Division II. I can't stress how important it is to have good grades, because there's not as much money as Division I in terms of, you have 13 scholarships. It's a ton of scholarships. Division II, You're trying to make $1 out of 15 cents all the time. I can give this guy 20,000. He's a great student. I can give this guy 40,000 or 35,000, and he'll, maybe gets 5,000. That's family pays. Maybe he goes fully free. These are the things that people don't realize when you're in high school or university. These are the things that are so important when it comes to scholarship money. So for everybody who's finishing their senior year, finish strong, as strong as possible, because all it's going to do is help you. And as bad as the situation is, the positive is, if we're test optional, that's fantastic. If you have trouble taking a test, I was not a good test taker. I would have gone to a much different university if it was only optional, because my SAT scores weren't as strong as my GPA was. So finish off strong. Any questions, you can always, Jacqueline and Alana are so accessible. If you have any questions for me, I'm on our website. You could feel free to send me an email. You could email Jacqueline or Alana, and they could forward it to me, whatever's best for you. So I know we're going to get to Josh, and I'm going to say one more time. You all are going to listen to somebody whose journey to be with us is fantastic. He got hurt last year, and he's so mentally strong. He's back as strong as ever, and I'm just so proud of him and very fortunate to have him with our program. And I could be on the call for another 10 minutes talking about him, but I'm not going to do that to everyone. So because I know we have to move on a little bit. So I'm not sure, Jacqueline, is Josh up? So you guys kind of take it back. But any questions, everybody, please do not hesitate to ask. All questions are good questions, and I love to answer them.
We'll let Josh get started. I'm also actually going to switch the slide here. I'm going to go back and have our contact information up. So feel free to, screenshot this if you want, and kind of take down the info as Josh is getting started. So go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'm Josh. I am an international student from Canada. I'm from Quebec, Canada. So yeah, I do. That means I do speak French. I actually studied in French up until college. So I have that bilingual set in me. I would just like to talk about my experience. Coach spoke a lot about. He pretty much covered everything, all the aspects. But I want to talk about my perspective and my experience and how I see things. So. First and foremost, my decision to come to Adelphi University was really easy. Coach Duke, the coaching staff, they recruited me really hard. They came down to Montreal a bunch of times. They were really, I could tell from the jump that it was, they placed a high importance on family and community. So that made it easy for me. Then coming to New York, being in such a diverse city, it's such a diverse university, it felt good for me. So once I came to my visit, I got back home, spoke with my parents, and the decision was really easy. I study accounting. I'm in the 5-year MBA program. So that also was a big thing for me in my decision to coming here. They have a wide variety of courses. For example, I'm from Quebec, so when we were back in high school, when we were studying history, it was always about the history of Quebec. But when I came here, I got to study the Black history. I got to study a history of music. Just all those different things was very cool and new to me. So I like that about the school. And also just Adelphi being such a positive and close family. The coaching staff to the whole athletic department, to everybody on campus, like everybody's so friendly. Everybody is always there to support, and everybody's just so nice. So it's easy to come to the school, it's easy to make friends, and you just feel comfortable being here on campus. And what I like about the school is that they place a high importance on academics. So our basketball team, like Coach Duke said, academics always come first. We always set our goals for our team GPA to be very high, and we have coaches that help you study. We have coaches that really go out beyond anything to help you guys with anything that has to do with academics or just anything in life in general. If you guys just need help with whatever is going on in your life, coaches are always there for you, and that's what I really like about our program for itself. And also we have a motto in our team, which is selflessness. And last year what we did was every week we'd have a selfless Sunday. And what that was is that we would either have like a camp in the gym. We'd have kids in the neighborhood, in the community. We set a camp up and just have a good time with them, get to know the people around the community. Or there's one day we went to the children's hospital and we were painting pumpkins with them, and that was really cool. That was a good experience. So there's so much importance that's placed on things outside of sports, just having good values and having good integrity. So that was that's also a big part of the basketball program that I love. And like Coach Duke said, I got hurt last year. I tore my Achilles tendon, which was a season-ending injury, which happened at the beginning of the season. So I really didn't get a chance to for taking the season. And after that happened, I was really in a place where it was hard for me because I never really experienced something like that. I was never in a place where I didn't have basketball, and basketball was always a coping mechanism for me. Whenever I was feeling down or whatever the case may be, I always had basketball to go to. And the coaching staff, my teammates, the athletic department, everybody on school was just so supportive, and it was great because even like after games, for example, I had people that I didn't even know that were coming up to me, showing support, showing love. It just shows the family that Adelphi is, and like how everybody's one, and they're always there to support you. So that was really, really eye-opening for me, and it helped build my courage, build my positivity, and it helped me go throughout the summer to get ready for this season. And now I'm back. I'm at 100%. So I'm really happy and ready to go and get this season started. So it's been a long journey, but it's what I've been looking forward to. And as for the athletics, Coach Duke said it, the facilities are great. I have no complaints. The trainers are great. When we have treatment, those trainers are great. The workouts, everything like that. They give us our personal workouts. They give us, if we ever want to do extra work, the trainers are there for us to do whatever we have to do in that regards. The day in the life of a student, Coach Duke made it kind of seem even easier than it is, but it's a lot in there. There's a lot of work to do, but as a student athlete, that's what you kind of want. You always want to have that extra push. You always want to have that it's just that extra motivation to keep doing more. So I mean, it's what we ask for, and it's what we want to do to just help build not only us as better athletes, but just help us become better people in general. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Overall, Adelphi, it's a great school, great atmosphere. The community is very close. That's what I like most about it. And I'm very, very happy and pleased that I chose to come here. And yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I'm going to switch the slide to our last one. Again, another for you to screenshot if you'd like. This is just ways to get in touch with us, not necessarily individually, but over social media or to our main international admissions inbox. And then a couple of little badges on there, just things that we're proud of at Adelphi.